gets visible. It takes some time. Yes, off-road HEVs. Sumeru, your topic is big, so take time. आराम से अच्छे से explain करो.
Yes, sir.
So we are starting with the C8 group presentation. It is about off-road HEVs. HEV के बाद जो apostrophe है वो delete करो. ठीक है, बाद में करना. So it is not HEVs, it is HEV and plural. Plural is S. So apostrophe delete करना है. So please start your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So good afternoon all, and
Good
my
afternoon.
name is Sumeru, and along with my teammate Viraj Patil, we are here to discuss about off-road HEVs. So let's begin. Outline of our presentations are: what are off-road vehicles, and system level architecture of batteryless hybrid road vehicular system, and system level architecture of hybrid off-road vehicular system with the ultra capacitor for storage. And next is typical mining vehicles and some applications of off-road HEVs and architecture of various off-road excavators. Next slide. So before discussing about off-road HEVs, it is necessary to say a little about off-road vehicles in general. So you can see those large bulldozers outside the beside the road constructions. They are some kind of the large off-road vehicles. An off-road vehicle in any ground vehicle that does not in general use normal roads for its operation. Examples such as vehicles include or tractors for agricultural purpose and mining vehicles. Some military vehicles also fall in this category. Off-road vehicles to be discussed in this section are quite different drive cycles and speed torque demands compared to those regular automobiles. Okay. Next is a construction of mining vehicles. It is a particular operate either under stationary conditions or at a relative load speed. You can observe that off-road vehicles are almost, you can see that bulldozers are at stationary and they work at a fixed point. Very often they also operate over rough terrain. Thus, an extremely rugged system to be a successful vehicle. The issue of emission not of primary concern due to the very nature of these vehicles. Because of these vehicles are very large, got a very large tires, and so they are having a very low fuel economy. These vehicles is very high for are very high power and torque. However, in recent times, both fuel economy and pollution control have come into focus to create a greener environment. Of course, for economic operation, hence the possibilities of using hybrid technology are being considered.
Correct.
A qualitative discussion on torque speed requirement for these vehicles and how to achieve can be made this at this point. As you can see, getting a very high torque from and regular IC can lead to very large transmission system, or you can say gearbox. And also on alleviated these difficulties in past, not now in past, hydraulic system have been used. Hydraulic system operate by continuous running an IC which change relatively low torque and high speed. The hydraulic can say low torque, but our off-road vehicles need a high torque. And you can see that which can drive a hydraulic motor using an incompressible fluid can achieve very high pressure which can be transferred to the drive end. However, it has been found that hydraulic system even rub, so its technology is very mature, it can cause certain problems. So as sir said a few minutes ago, leakage. For example, a complex plumbing system, the pipes can under rough terrain conditions cause fluid leak. This can lead degraded performance and eventual failure.
Correct.
One disadvantage of hydraulic system is that certain parasitic losses are unavoidable. जो लॉस हो रहा है उनको अवॉइड नहीं कर सकते, ऐसा है. Also, the IC does not operate at its optimum efficiency point all the time due to nature of torque, speed, and demand of the load. As we have higher load, we require more torque. If we use hydraulic, they have a high speed compared to torque. They have low torque. Considering the demand, they cannot be operated at that efficient, at efficient. Next slide. So there are many architecture available for hybrid off-road vehicles. We are considering we are here seeing that only two architectures. First one is system level architecture of a batteryless hybrid off-road vehicular system. Here you can see that IC engine is there, alternator is there, rectifier, filter is there, inverter is there, motor and wheels. In a very low, in a very heavy vehicle application like mining and constructions, we noted earlier that a IC vehicle can lead the very large transmission system capable of providing the torque and power demands. Here we require a very torque and we are getting that torque. In this situation that mitigated using a IC to drive a generator or alternator. Here your IC engine is driving the alternator. We are using the
Correct.
alternator. In general variable speed and a variable amplitude. The variable frequency and variable amplitude voltage are converted into DC voltage of a variable and ultimately constant value using a rectifier regulator. Yeah, this is the use of this rectifier. And now coming to inverter, the constant DC voltage is translated into a three-phase AC system whose amplitude, frequency, and phase can be controlled electronically through the use of an appropriate power electronics converter. That is the use of this inverter. And coming to the motor and wheels, to be more precise, instantaneous variable voltage as a function of time can be generated by using electronic power electronics. This three-phase voltage can be driven an electric motor to handle the vehicle load. One you can see that here they avoided the battery. Note that here I written. Note that the system can avoid the use of battery. The battery is a vital storage element in the regular HEV. In a very low off-road vehicles, the battery can require a very large and expensive system. Hence, they prefer that it is good if they avoid batteries. And in other words, system above is very similar to identical to a diesel electronic locomotive system. Next slide. Okay. The propulsion motor in this application can be any motor, but for very heavy mining applications, induction motors are found to be more robust and suitable. For rough environment, rather than the permanent magnet motor, the motor is then used to drive the wheels of the vehicle. Generally, off-road vehicles greater than 150 tons they weigh very much. Because of that, they have two axles and two motor are used to drive them. And here you can see in this architecture there are two names to compared to the previous controller and alter capacitor. So that name suggests that system level architecture of hybrid off-road vehicular system with the ultra capacitor for storage. They are avoiding the battery. Instead of that same battery technology, they are using ultra capacitor here.
Correct.
Although the architecture is have no battery, what I said that is written here. In principle, of battery could be used for energy storage, but this size would be better very large, and such application in some applications as an ultra capacitor bank also be used. That's why there is an ultra capacitor here. During the slowing down of the vehicle or some of its movable parts, the mechanical energy can be transferred into electrical energy and stored in the ultra capacitor. And they are used when let's say when the vehicle is not in work and it is moving, then then they got some mechanical energy. That mechanical energy we can convert into electrical energy, and that can be stored in allocated. And when it can be used in some mining work, what I can say that when it's at working situation. In the above architecture, if you want to drive vehicles wheels, the energy can come from ultra capacitor from the IC, which drive the alternator, and then the rectifier creates the direct current. The DC voltage either come from either rectifier or the ultra capacitor can be translated to the proper AC voltage to drive the electric motor. Yes, as we can see in the above architecture, if you want to drive the vehicles, energy can, as I said, ultra capacitor IC. And here is important point is that we'll have the necessary switches in this architecture between the ultra capacitor and the alternator. When the vehicle slows down, the controller, this is controller, commands the ultra capacitor, inverter, and alternator to coordinate properly so that
Correct.
energy flows from motor side. That is, here is motor is acting as a generator, which can creating the electronic energy and storing it in the ultra capacitor. And next slide. Here are some typical mining vehicles As you can, there are three types. There are n number of types. As textbook in the textbook, there are mentioned only three types as we took from textbook. First one is caterpillar. Second one is Komatsu, and third is Liebherr. Caterpillar uses a conventional powertrain, whereas Komatsu and Liebherr uses hybrid powertrains. Caterpillar is also now moving towards HEV platform. As you can see, a Caterpillar engine model, Caterpillar 35248 EUI, has a gross power of 2648 kilowatts, which is very huge, and a gross machine operating weight is 623,690 kilograms. And second one is Komatsu. Komatsu model has a gross horsepower of 2611 kilowatts and weighs up to 505,575 kilograms. And Liebherr model has gross horsepower of 2722 kilowatts, and it is having RPM of 1800, and vehicle weighs at 592 tons. You can see the vehicles are very, you can see in the picture also, they got a very big wheels and very big container. These are the use of because of this architecture, why we use these vehicles for off-road constructions like minings, like road constructions. Others. Next slide. As you can see, the traction motor in both combustion and Liebherr models are induction motors, and the gross engine power of the vehicles about 2.6 to 2.7 megawatts, which is very huge. Assuming the alternator inverter efficiency are in order of 92% each for both, the motor power is input about to 2.35 megawatts. I am assuming that 90%, 95%.
efficiency.
Yes, sir. And last one is regarding the rating of the motor of the mining truck. The nominal DC link voltage rating of these motors can be around 2600 volts, leading to about 1600 volt line to line RMS input to the three-phase motors can be around 2600 volts. And um, this corresponds to about 514 ampere alternating current RMS, assuming the power factor is about 0.8. In this case, the DC link current will be 1.2 megawatt by 2600, that is 461 ampere, the direct current per motor. All these assume conditions, no addition. We are assuming here there are no additional loss in the system. We are assuming, and these above figures are nearly given idea of voltage and current values.
Correct.
And the next part will be explained by Viraj. Thank you.
Yeah, a very good presentation. Sumeru, you have really gone through the very big theory that was assigned to you and your group. So I would expect that Viraj also would go into that depth and present. Yes, Viraj, you are visible. Sumeru, you please turn off your video.
Yes,
And Viraj, you please give details about the next part, that is hybrid excavators. Very important part. Again, lot of, I guess, hydraulic is used here, right, Viraj?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So please give us a very good presentation about very high power application of this hybrid excavators. Yeah, please continue.
Okay. So good afternoon, one and all. Good afternoon, sir. So first, coming to the application of an off-road HEV, we have a construction excavator. The figure shows a typical excavator with various parts labeled. Although this particular excavator is from Komatsu, is a hybrid excavator. The physical and conventional excavators are basically similar in appearance. One second, sir. Okay. So there are many other construction vehicles such as bulldozers, industrial utility vehicles, etc. But excavator is considered to be most complicated in terms of its architecture and implementation. So here in an excavator, the use of HEV concept is not in the propulsion, but it is rather in the excavator arm movement. The excavator arms require bursts of high power followed by low power return and then slow down of its speed to control the arm. Such applications are very well carried out for using an ICE engine. Driving of a generator to produce the electricity to drive the excavator arm, which is an electrical drive. Several possible architectures related to an excavator are shown as we proceed. So first we have a conventional off-road excavator. Here the engine drives the hydraulic pump and the fluid flow is controlled by a set of control valves. The fluid flow is channeled into various cylinders attached to the different parts of the excavator. That is the boom, arm, and bucket cylinders, which are considered as a single group. The
Correct.
second group involves a hydraulic motor, which is also fluid driven and is used to physically move the excavator by turning right and left wheels. The hydraulic motor torque can be passed through gear before it is in transmission. The third group involves a hydraulic motor that is used to move the swing arm of the excavator. Here, as you can see, the engine is running only one pump as shown in the figure. The fluid goes to a group of valves to control the various moving members. Since every single moving member is not controlled by individual valves, there is always energy wastage in terms of fluid unnecessary flowing through certain channels all the time. In other words, we can say that energy is lost in terms of heat from the fluid when unnecessary flowing. To address such issues, the following possible hybrid architectures are implemented using electrical drives. Although it should be noted that the hybrid excavator still uses quite a number of hydraulic devices, since construction machinery require high amount of force and torque. So we now moving on to series hybrid excavator architecture. Here the here the engine drives the generator to create a three-phase AC. The three-phase AC is converted to DC in a PWM converter. The PWM converter acts as a source converter using pulse width modulation techniques. The DC power also goes to three separate inverters, and also to the DC to DC converter, which is used in soft switching, which is very important in cases of high voltage usage. For the boom cylinder, the electric motor is driven by the inverter, which in turn drives the hydraulic pump, and hydraulic pump drives the boom cylinder, which is controlled by a control valves. Similar process is carried out for arm and bucket cylinders, but it should be noted here that the swing operation is completely done using an electric motor. It should be noted that this architecture provides significant flexibility in controlling in terms of components by allowing independent control of motors and hydraulic pumps, and a completely electric operation of the swing system as well. Although this architecture is very flexible, it comes at a certain cost of several inverters, converters, and individual motors as well.
Correct.
Though it is costly due to additional components, the system allows best fuel economy and control flexibility, which will compensate the initial investment. Moving on to parallel hybrid excavator architecture. The engine here drives a generator to create a three-phase AC. Similar to the series hybrid excavator architecture, the three-phase AC is converted. The three-phase AC goes to the ultra capacitor through the DC to DC converter, and the generator and the hydraulic pump are on the same shaft, and they are coupled. The speed of the generator depends on the speed of hydraulic pump, which in turn is depending on various loads attached to it. If the engine has more available torque at a particular speed, and if the torque is higher than the hydraulic torque demand, then the additional torque can be used by the generator, which essentially charges the ultra capacitor.
Correct.
On the other hand, if the hydraulic torque demand is higher, the generator can enter the motor mode and provide some torque towards the hydraulic loads. Although it should be noted that it is not possible to recover any energy from mechanical loads in this particular configuration.
That means no regenerative braking occur here in this case.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
And compared to series architecture, this architecture requires fewer components, but also it is very less flexible in controlling various components. This architecture is more or like similar to a conventional hydraulic architecture. Exception is that a generator is sandwiched in between engine and hydraulic pump. The generator can also be used to charge the ultra capacitor through a power electronic controller system and can also receive power from ultracapacitor while running in the motor mode. The advantage of this architecture is that this architecture leads us to a smaller engine,
Okay.
which reduces the weight as well. So now
Okay.
moving on to compound hybrid architecture. Architecture of a compound hybrid is shown in this figure. It's on comparing to earlier two architectures, we can draw similarities that the above part of this, the upper part of this architecture is quite similar
Similar.
to that of a parallel hybrid excavator architecture. The exception being that the swing is completely controlled by a separate motor.
Okay.
It is possible to recover here. It is possible to recover energy from mechanical loads in this particular configuration, but only from the swing operation. It is also possible to recover energy from other moving members that are hydraulically operated, provided we have bidirectional control valves, but that can complement the control, leading to additional costs.
Very good.
This, as you can see, this system is a compromise between series and parallel systems with additional components, but not as many used as in the series system. The upper part system is similar to a parallel hybrid architecture, which in turn is similar to conventional hydraulic system with power assist through electrical generator. The lower part system comprises of a swing, which is fully electrical.
So
Even-
is it compound generated only for regenerative braking, or it is having some other advantages also, the lower part?
So in this case, it is for regenerative braking as well as the swing operation.
Yeah, so we are actually previous case parallel. We combined this swing in with the engine generator as well. So in this case, we have separated it.
Yes, sir.
So in this case, everything we have put together with the generator and hydraulic. And in case of compound, we have separated the swing part. Is it only for generating electricity back and giving the ultra capacitor charge? Is it that only advantage, or there are any other advantage also?
So there may be many advantages, but this is the primary advantage.
Correct.
Even though this ultra capacitor is shown in every architecture, some manufacturers prefer to use a battery instead of ultra capacitor for purpose of storage and retrieval of energy.
Correct.
Likewise, if the vehicle is a high power excavator, ultra capacitor is the best solution for this. But if any additional equipment to the ultra capacitor in terms of any auxiliary equipment is used, battery may be a more feasible option.
Very good.
The choice of storage is highly dependent on exact usage and duty cycle.
Duty cycle. Correct. It's case by case basis. Perfect. The last slide. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can you say a few things about this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The architecture of the Komatsu excavator shown in the earlier slide is fundamentally same as shown in this figure. This basically what I mean to say is the excavator shown in this figure uses the same compound architecture. It has been claimed by Komatsu hybrid excavator. It has been claimed that the Komatsu hybrid excavator leads to fuel economy improvement of around 25%, and that some specific users have achieved improvement of fuel economies as high as 41%. For the sake of illustration, some numerical values are provided here. That is, at 288 volt DC, the DC current link will be about 70 amperes. The three-phase line-to-line RMS voltage for this motor will be about 176 volts, and the motor current will be around 82 amperes. While concluding our presentation, I would like to say some point. Like, if one asks which is the best possible architecture to be implemented for majority of the cases, then the answer would be that there is no such architecture possible. It totally depends on the duty cycle in terms of torque need, duration of the torque, auxiliary equipment used, cost, size, and similar factors that lead to the decision process in terms of what will be the best type of configuration, and on this matter there is no unique answer. So basically what this means is there is no one solution that fits all purposes. it is totally application specific.
Very
And hence, I
good.
would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you, sir.
So two very passionate people in the field of this vehicular technology and all these things. I now congratulate myself that I had given such a big topic and which required a lot of reading to these two people. And these two people, Viraj and Sumeru, has given one of the best presentations out of whatever has happened so far. So their slides were also good, and they really meant their work, and they really prepared very well. Many of the
Thank you.
batches they prepared well, but they have really explained the things from the bottom of their heart. So I really congratulate you two people for pulling it up, and giving a stunning presentation. So it was like pro, and they have really explained the things like an experts. Very
Thank you,
good.
sir.
Thank you,
So
sir.
next, I ask Vinayak and Ganesh. Ganesh is from Division A actually. So he had teamed up with Vinayak of Division C. So
Okay.
I now invite them for presentation. Please launch your slide.